Picture this. Your dog has just finished their business in someone's front garden. You've got the bag out, you're already crouching, and then, before you can do anything, your dog starts kicking. Dirt flying everywhere, grass torn up in a wide arc, a small patch of landscape destruction that is completely impossible to explain to the homeowner now watching from the window. And while you're mouthing sorry through the glass, your dog trots away looking deeply satisfied with themselves. Here's what nobody tells you. Your dog wasn't trying to cover anything up. They were doing the exact opposite. That kick, the one that just destroyed a stranger's lawn, is one of the most sophisticated communication systems in the animal kingdom, and it was working perfectly. Let's start with why the covering theory doesn't work, because the evidence against it is almost funny. Cats bury their waste. They are genuinely trying to hide it, and they're quite good at it. Dogs, however, kick backward, specifically backward, away from the poop, leaving it fully exposed on the ground in front of them. If the goal were concealment, dogs are the worst concealment artists on the planet. They've had thousands of years to work on this and haven't improved at all. That's because concealment was never the goal. Animal behaviorists who have studied this across domestic dogs, wolves, coyotes, and even lions have reached the same conclusion. Ground scratching, the official name for the kick, is a broadcasting behavior. The dog is not saying, "I was never here." They are saying loudly and in multiple languages simultaneously, "I was absolutely here, and here is everything you need to know about me." Because the kick communicates on 3 channels at the same time. The first channel is visual. When a dog kicks backward through grass or dirt, they leave scratch marks, physical slashes in the ground. These remain visible long after the dog has gone. Urine evaporates, feces dries and fades, but a freshly turned patch of earth stays visible, especially in open terrain, and draws the eyes of any passing dog directly to the spot. Researchers at the University of Pennsylvania School of Veterinary Medicine describe this as a signal that extends the range of the chemical message. The visual component is readable from a distance before any nose even gets close. The second channel is the existing scent, the poop or urine itself, which carries a dense packet of biological information. A dog reading that deposit can determine the sex of the dog who left it, their rough health status, what they've been eating, and whether they're a familiar individual or a stranger. But the third channel is the one most owners have never heard of, and it's the most interesting part. Dog paw pads contain 2 types of glands. The first are eccrine sweat glands. These produce moisture to help with temperature regulation. The second are apocrine scent glands, and these produce pheromones. When a dog kicks into the ground, those apocrine glands activate. The pressure of the scratch releases a chemical signal unique to that individual dog, a pheromone fingerprint, and deposits it directly into the soil, alongside the scratch marks and the waste. The result is a 3-layered message: visual scratch marks that function like an arrow, a scent deposit with detailed biological data, and a fresh pheromone signature from the paws that persists longer than urine and extends the range of the whole communication.
And here's where it gets slightly absurd in the best possible way. You may have noticed that your dog's feet sometimes smell faintly of corn chips. This is so common it has an affectionate name, Frito feet, and it comes from the interaction between the sweat glands in your dog's paws and 2 types of naturally occurring bacteria, Pseudomonas and Proteus, that live there. These bacteria interact with the sweat and produce a faint yeasty chemical, which is, to a dog's nose, nothing like a neutral smell. That corn chip scent is carrying pheromone information. Your dog's feet are functionally a biological broadcast tower that activates every time they touch the ground. The kick doesn't just leave scratch marks, it physically distributes that tower's signal into the surrounding soil, mixing it with the feces, amplifying the message across all 3 channels at once. Now here's the practical part. What does it actually tell you about your specific dog? Studies observing free-ranging dogs found that higher-ranking, more confident animals were significantly more likely to ground scratch. Dogs that kicked tended to be actively avoided by other dogs during and after the behavior, which researchers have interpreted as a dominance display, a way of asserting presence without a direct confrontation. A separate study tracking dogs in a shelter environment found that older, more experienced dogs were more likely to kick after defecating than younger or juvenile animals. In other words, if your dog does this regularly, it's not an embarrassing lack of hygiene instinct. It is a confident social assertion. Your dog is not failing to tidy up. They are standing in the equivalent of the town square and making an announcement. Only around 10% of dogs do this consistently, so if yours doesn't, that's completely normal too. It simply reflects a different personality or social context. Some dogs kick more in new areas or when they smell unfamiliar dogs nearby. Some only do it at home on their established territory. The behavior responds to social pressure, which is exactly what you'd expect from a communication system. So the next time your dog tears up someone's lawn, remember you're not watching a failed attempt at tidying. You're watching an animal that has been doing this for tens of thousands of years make a statement in 3 simultaneous languages that will be read and understood by every dog that passes that spot for the rest of the day. The mess is the message. Your dog just didn't think to ask your permission first. If this made you look at your dog differently, subscribe and drop a comment telling us whether yours is a kicker. If they are, chances are they're also the most confident dog on your street. The research backs that up.